Welcome to Nicholas Canarge's Book Review. I'm your host, Nick. This is Book Review number 1, The Confessions, by St. Augustine of Hippo. Now, the version I have is the Ignatius Critical Editions. I got it off Amazon. It was the cheapest, I believe, so if you're looking to pick it up, it should be pretty easy to get. So let's jump right into it. Why this book? Why The Confessions? I think it's actually a pretty important book to Western philosophy for a lot of reasons, and mostly because the church didn't really let any philosophy really shine during the Dark Ages other than theological philosophy. So I think it'd be really interesting to take a look at how that has affected what we read today and see what he was like and what he thought. It's also convenient for me because I just finished the book, so I thought I would start with what's most fresh in my memory, and then for books that I enjoy maybe a bit more, I can go back to and reread, so I can really give a good fresh review about it. The third reason is that I think he's actually a really interesting guy. He struggled a lot with sinfulness, I guess you could say, in his early life, but inevitably he becomes part of the Catholic Church, and a huge part of it, becoming a church father even. So I thought it would be interesting to read and see how someone who pretty much had everything you'd want in a materialistic world, and he pretty much gave that all up. Alright, so who was St. Augustine? He was a Roman. He was born in northern Africa in Thagaste. He lived in the late 300s, so very early on in the Catholic Church, and you can really see how he was in the best position pretty much possible to become what he became. And so he is Roman, but he because this was obviously during the Roman Empire, and they controlled most of the North Mediterranean. So he spent most of his time in Carthage, and then Milan and Rome, and then obviously living his later life mostly in Hippo as a kind of a co-bishop. Okay, so this book is more actually a set of books. It's 13 books. And then those are broken up into chapters, but I'm actually just going to separate it into a part 1, which is his life, and then a part 2, which is his theology. And it happens chronologically in the book. You know, he recounts his entire life, and then he goes into depth about what he wants to explain. So part 1. Part 1 is pretty much about his life. He starts as a baby, and he goes all the way through boyhood and preteen, and going to school, and going to like a university, and then all the way through his young adult life, and struggling with his vices, and moving up in the Roman world, especially in the world of rhetoric and literature. Alright, and that's kind of the big thing, is that he does go to Milan, and he meets Bishop Ambrose, which is actually another father of the church, and that is probably the most important character, other than his mother, in getting him into the Catholic faith. Part 2 is actually much different. It's much more complicated. It's very philosophical, very theological. He takes a whole book to write about memory, and how, again, I don't want to spoil everything, but he talks about memory. He talks about space and time, and how time really only lives in our minds, and how God is not subject to time, because he is everything. You'll really have to read it to understand his philosophy more, and I don't want to spoil it for you again, so I'm just kind of trying to briefly graze over everything that I found interesting, so hopefully you also find it interesting. Alright, so let's wrap this review up. What did I think? I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I actually enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the first part. I I could have done without the second part and maybe some of the preachiness, but I guess that really comes with the area. I would recommend this to everybody, but if you have a lot of books to read and you're not really into the whole Christianity, you're really sure of your faith or your lack of faith, then maybe you could skip this over. I do think he affected philosophy greatly for his time period, and I think if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's worth the read. But if you're not really into that kind of stuff, maybe skip, maybe give it a pass if you have more important stuff or more interesting stuff to you. It's all up to you. That's the thing, is find books interesting to yourself. Alright everyone, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment and tell me what I need to do better, what I should change, what I should fix, what you really liked, hopefully. There was something. Link to my social media, to my Instagram in the description. I'll post about when I'm going to post a new video on there, so you'll see notifications there first before on YouTube. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.